What do you think is the best size for a city? I've already made a video on the top 10 best big cities to live in America, but big cities aren't for everyone. And I'm going to do a video on the top 10 best small cities if this video hits 1,000 likes, but small cities aren't for everyone either. Maybe you like things somewhere in between. If so, this is the perfect list for you. The following cities aren't so big that everything's just crowded and overwhelming, but they also aren't so small that you can try everything there is to do there in a weekend. Now, there's no real way to determine if a city is big, medium, or small, so the basic criteria I'm using is a small city has a metro population between 500,000 to 1.5 million residents, a medium-sized city has a metro population between 1.5 to 3 million, and then a big city has a metro population above 3 million. So yes, when I talk about the cities in this video, I'm referring to their entire metropolitan statistical areas, not just the city limits. So before you say something like, hey, why isn't so-and-so on the list? Check the metro population and you'll probably see why I didn't mention it. Anyways, I've ranked the cities according to their economy, safety, cost of living, schools, amenities, and quality of life, among other things. So let's do this. These are the top 10 best medium cities to live in the United States for 2020. Number 10. Virginia Beach, Virginia. The most populated city in Virginia is also one of the best. Despite the nearly 2 million residents who live in the area and 19 million tourists who visit each summer, it still kind of has that small town feel due to all the suburban sprawl and lack of a true downtown. But maybe that small town vibe is the reason it's one of the safest cities in the country. This makes it a great place for families, especially in the summertime. I mean, it's on the beach. Speaking of which, a lot of the economy here is based on tourism, so there's tons to do, from surfing to fishing to kayaking, water skiing, stand-up paddleboarding, golfing, volleyball, and more. Outside of the summer, though, things can get a little boring and cold. But hey, at least there's an excellent education system consisting of some of the best schools in the nation to keep the kids busy, and it's never too cold since the city is insulated by the ocean. Considering the low crime, great schools, and beautiful scenery, Virginia Beach isn't terribly expensive either, especially for being in Virginia. The median home value is still just $281,000, and there are tons of great paying job opportunities in the defense, agribusiness, biomedical, manufacturing, and maritime industries. As an actual city, though, Virginia Beach does fall short in terms of walkability, public transit, and year-round entertainment, which is why it isn't higher on this list. It's kind of just your normal suburban environment that checks all the boxes that make a city great on paper, but lacks a lot of that personality and charm that makes cities fun. So if you're looking for somewhere a little more fun, Number 9. Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas is one of the fastest growing regions in the country, with a consistent 2% growth rate in the metro area year after year. And for good reason. It's affordable, there's great weather for most of the year with over 300 days of sun, and world-class food and entertainment is everywhere. Besides the obvious things like the Strip and Fremont Street, there's tons to do downtown and in the hip Arts District, and some beautiful nature nearby in Red Rocks Canyon, Lake Mead, Mount Charleston, and the Valley of Fire. Now, Vegas obviously knows how to party with its nearly non-stop nightlife, but surprisingly, it also knows how to work. The city continues to prosper with an increasingly diverse economy between the local businesses, tourism, and the growing effort to bring corporate headquarters to the city, not to mention the thriving medical and professional communities. Other than these top jobs, though, wages still aren't the best for most of the workforce, with a median household income of just $57,000. The good news is there's no state income tax, and you can get by pretty cheap. There's a lot of nice homes in that $200,000 to $250,000 range. The main con that's keeping Vegas from being higher on this list is just that it's so spread out. The metro area stretches nearly 8,000 square miles, which leads to a lot of sprawl and boring cookie-cutter neighborhoods. You are going to need a car to live here. Oh, and the public schools are also some of the worst in the nation, so keep that in mind. Number 8. Orlando, Florida. Another warm city, another tourist destination, and another one of the fastest growing regions of America, with the metro population increasing by nearly 2.5% each year. But just like Las Vegas is a lot more than the Strip, Orlando is so much more than just Disney World. Oh yeah, and there's also no income tax here either. The City Beautiful has so many entertainment options that other similarly mid-sized cities don't, because it's a huge tourist destination. In fact, it's the most visited city in the United States. In addition to all the fun theme parks, green spaces, museums, nightlife, and great restaurant options, Orlando also has an NBA and MLS team, and Tampa's only a little over an hour away with their MLB, NHL, and NFL teams, as well as the beach. And to top it all off, the unemployment rate here is just 3%. But to be fair, a lot of the jobs are just entry-level tourism jobs, so similar to Vegas, wages still aren't the best. The cost of living isn't too expensive though, with a median home price of just $259,000. And if you do buy a house, you don't really have to worry about it getting destroyed by a hurricane like you would in any other Florida city, since Orlando's 50 miles inland. But just like every city so far on this list, you're gonna need a car to live here because public transportation is atrocious and everything's just so spread out. Not to mention the toll roads are a pain in the butt. Literally, your butt'll hurt after sitting in traffic for so long. Number 7. Columbus, Ohio. Our first Midwest city on this list is actually growing pretty steadily, which might come as a surprise considering most of the region's been struggling. Unlike the other cities in Ohio, however, Columbus is a boomtown in the Rust Belt with tons of growth potential, development, and one of the fastest growing and diverse economies in the nation. In fact, it was recently ranked as one of the top 10 best cities for young professionals. And I mean, it makes sense. Ohio's capital is one of the most up-and-coming cities in America, while still remaining incredibly affordable. Between the growing tech scene and amazing job opportunities in education, insurance, aviation, banking, steel, energy, healthcare, and medical research, the median household income here is nearly $64,000. What makes this even better, though, is the extremely low cost of living, with a median home price of just $171,000. This is really a city where you can get a lot of bang for your buck. And it's an excellent place to raise a family, with great schools, friendly residents, and tons to do in each of the unique neighborhoods and nature preserves. The main downsides are the frigid winters and the fact that, yep, you guessed it, you need a car due to the lack of good public transportation. But hey, at least there isn't much traffic. Number 6, Charlotte, North Carolina. Yet another Sunbelt city. I think this is going to be a trend. Joining Orlando and Las Vegas, Charlotte is another one of the fastest growing regions of the country. In fact, it'll probably be a real big city in just a few years. A big reason for this is the jobs. Charlotte's economy is currently booming, as it's the second largest banking center in the United States, as well as home to 8 Fortune 500 companies, a solid manufacturing and automotive industry, and a growing tech and startup scene. And the cost of living is still really affordable, with a median home price of just $251,000. Now, the Queen City is a little culturally bland outside of Uptown and the surrounding areas, but there's still a fair amount to do, with cool museums, thriving nightlife, great restaurants, a major airport, plenty of events and concerts, and NBA and NFL teams. Not to mention the amazing weather and overall cleanliness of the city. But you're going to need a car. I'm really starting to see a pattern. A lot of mid-sized cities just don't seem to have good public transportation. Charlotte is no exception. Most of the neighborhoods are spread out, repetitive, and boring. Number 5, San Antonio, Texas. The first Texas city on our list, and another insanely fast-growing town in the Sun Belt with a lot going for it. There's rich culture and history, with tons of picturesque neighborhoods and museums, not to mention the weather is great year-round, with average winter temperatures in the 60s and 70s. San Antonio is also incredibly family-friendly, with great schools and genuinely good people. And the Alamo City boasts one of the best economies in the nation, primarily focusing thriving in defense, manufacturing, aerospace, healthcare, bioscience, finance, and tech. All that at the insanely affordable price of the average home costing just $186,000. On paper, San Antonio is about as perfect of a city as you can get, but it's really more of a laid-back, very spread out, large town with city amenities than an actual city, so you are gonna need a car. Why do you always need a car? Seriously, isn't the point of a city to be walkable or at least to have good public transportation so a lot of people can live close together in a small dense area and not have to worry about being stuck in traffic for 2 hours a day? Now don't get me wrong, I actually really like San Antonio and it is one of the best places to live in America, but it also isn't the most exciting city. Number 4, Nashville, Tennessee. Now this is where we get into the truly elite cities. Unsurprisingly, Nashville's another one of the fastest growing regions in the country with a booming economy, and at the rate it's growing, it'll probably be number 1 on this list soon enough. Contrasted with a certain next door neighbor who would probably make the top 10 worst cities list. Memphis. If you do want to move here though, do it soon because the city's going to get very expensive within the next 5 to 10 years. But it makes sense. Although the rest of Tennessee is struggling, Nashville is thriving. The unemployment rate is just 2.4%, and there are so many good paying jobs in healthcare, finance, music production, automobile production, higher education, tourism, tech, and everything in between, with even more growth being projected to last into the foreseeable future. There are honestly so many jobs here that it might even be harder to find housing than employment. But obviously things aren't all work and no play. There's a growing hipster coffee shop vibe, a fun bar and brewery scene, some of the best barbecue and hot chicken, and live music is literally everywhere. It is the music city after all, and if nature's more your thing, there's plenty of that too. Unless you hate bugs or have allergies. Number 3, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Like most of the Rust Belt, Pittsburgh has taken its share of economic hits. But recently, the economy has been surging. While it isn't the fastest growing city population-wise, the Steel City is still an amazing place to live. Not to mention, cheap. The median home price is still just $164,000, and that's honestly such a bargain since there are a ton of good paying job opportunities in advanced manufacturing, healthcare, energy, financial and business services, and tech. Let's just say this is one of the best places to live and save money. But besides the economic opportunity, Pittsburgh's just a really cool area with so much character. The surrounding hills, streams, and scenery, combined with the beautiful skyline, make it one of the most picturesque cities in America. There's rich culture in each of the unique neighborhoods, great food and art all around, and the people who live here have remained kind and genuine through the decades as well. Oh yeah, and for the first time on this list, you don't need a car to live here. It can actually be quite a nuisance to have one. Public transportation's great, and much of the city is very walkable. But keep in mind, the winters are also harsh, and the weather's really cloudy for most of the year. Number 2, Portland, Oregon. Similar to Pittsburgh, Portland's very cloudy and very beautiful, but the weather's also much milder as it's never too hot, never too cold. It almost always stays in that little sweet spot between 40 and 80 degrees, which means you can explore the gorgeous surrounding scenery all year long. The culture here is also unlike any other city, and every aspect of it is thriving, from the arts to the food to the breweries, bars, shops, and dispensaries. There are all kinds of job opportunities, and it's a great place to start a small business because the community's incredibly family-friendly and supportive. The main economic downside is the cost of living, because the median home price is a whopping $456,000, but at least the median income is $72,000, so it's semi-manageable since most other things in the city aren't too expensive, especially since there's no sales tax. Portland's also the most bikeable city in the United States, and it has pretty good public transportation, which is a relief considering the traffic gets bad, like really bad, especially on all the bridges. But all the negatives are honestly worth it, as it's a city with so much character and that so many different types of people love, from young professionals to families to outdoor enthusiasts. Now, before we get to number 1, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and comment what you think the best medium city is. And without further ado, number 1. Austin, Texas. Is this one really a surprise? Austin's been making its rounds as one of the best overall cities to live in the United States over the past 10 years, and there's a reason for that. Anyone who's ever been here will tell you this is one amazing city. There's gorgeous scenery all around, and the weather's nearly perfect with winter temperatures usually in the 60s and 70s. Sure, it's gotten pretty expensive with a median home price nearing $400,000, but that price tag is honestly worth it since the economy is strong and growing rapidly. So many huge tech companies are moving here to where Austin will probably be the next Silicon Valley. As you can guess, this means there are amazing job opportunities with a median household income of nearly $74,000 and an unemployment rate at just 2.7%. And to make things even better, this is Texas, so there's no state income tax. But even amidst all this growth, from a cheap little hippie town to a booming tech metropolis, Austin's maintained its laid-back, quirky atmosphere and remained incredibly safe and friendly for its size. And Austin sure knows how to have fun too. I mean, they don't call it the live music capital of the world for nothing. I am not exaggerating when I say there's live music literally everywhere, every night of the week. Aside from the ever-increasing cost of living, Austin is pretty much a perfect city. That's why it's not only the best medium-sized city to live in the nation, but probably also the best city of any size to live in America.